Good morning. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Larry Clay and I'll be chairing today's session. Panel members today are Zahir Bayat, Paul Gogan, and Gary McKay, and our Deputy Secretary Treasurer is Sabrina Salatino. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. When your item is called, you'll be unmuted by the moderator. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must first fill out a request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal committee decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal the decisions of the committee. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision. Today I'll call each item in the order listed on the agenda, and where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When a committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept new materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and your address, and remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and make a presentation to the committee. Then, individuals either in support or oppose the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we call on speakers in the hearing room first and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they finish their presentation, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any minutes from previous meetings?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and panel members. Yes, the June 11th and June 18th minutes are ready for adoption.
All right, I will move adoption of both those. I have a seconder. Mr. Bayat, all in favor. Those minutes are adopted. Any files to be closed today?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. There are 3 files that require closure. These files were previously deferred. The landowners no longer want to pursue these applications. First file is 13 Sorin Avenue, file number A1301/22 TEY. Second file is 43 Humber Trail, file number A388/23 TEY. And the third file is 98 Ferris Road, file number A0628/23 TEY.
Okay, thank you very much. I will move that those files be closed. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Bayat, all in favor? Those 3 files are closed. Is there any declarations of interest from panel or staff this morning? See none. And do we have any deferrals?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we do have 2 requests for deferral for this morning. Item number 1, 70 Melville Avenue, file number A0197/25 TEY. And item number 1150 LaScelles Boulevard, file number A0338/25 TEY. We can probably deal with those 2 deferral requests at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right, we move on to the first deferral item, 70 Melville Avenue. This is an application to construct a new two-story ancillary building containing a two-car garage on the ground level and a laneway suite on the second level. In the rear yard of the property, abutting the laneway, there will be a total of 2 residential dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of subject property. We have covering letter from the agent, previous decision number affecting the property, and a copy of correspondence between the agent and city planning. There is a staff report from Transportation Review and correspondence in interest from 64 Melville.
Through you, Mr. Chair. We do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Great, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Name and address, please, for the record.
It's Jim Wu, 70 Melville Avenue.
Great, and you're seeking a deferral?
Yes.
And the reason for that?
I think there's still a variance that's under review in the zoning, so they haven't given me the review yet. And the Monique Williams from Committee of Adjustment suggested we defer.
Okay, thank you, sir. Panel, can I get a motion to defer? Mr. Byatt? Motion to defer by Mr. Byatt, seconded by Mr. McKay. All in favor? Okay, sir, you have your deferral. Thank you. We move on to the second deferral item, which is item number 11, which is 50 LASCELLES Boulevard, probably mispronouncing that. This is an application to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with an integral garage, a front porch with stairs, a rear covered deck with stairs, a rear basement walkout, and an in-ground swimming pool, and also to construct rear balconies on the second and third stories. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, revised public notice received June 13th, a revised zoning notice received June 13th, a covering letter from the agent, correspondence from the agent as well, an arborist report, and tree protection plan, presentation materials from the agent. We have staff report from urban forestry. There is a letter from the councillor. There is one form letter in support. There is correspondence in opposition from 46 LaSalle's Boulevard, 122 Imperial Street, 44, 51, 43, 52, 37, 53, 57, 69, and 49 LaSalle's Boulevard, and also from 25 and 19 Eastbourne, and materials in opposition from 52 LaSalle's Boulevard and from 46 LaSalle's Boulevard.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We also have 3 registered speakers.
In here or online?
1 is here, 2 online.
Okay, thank you. All right. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Jim Pfeffer from 95 St. Clair Avenue West here in Toronto. And we'd like to request a deferral so we can make some efforts to solicit some feedback from the neighbors who have expressed some opposition, and also to see if we can incorporate some of that feedback in our proposal that we'll come back to the committee with. And I believe the councillor also suggested a deferral for that reason. So yeah, that's we're already in the process of seeing if we can set up a meeting with some of the neighboring homeowners and residents.
Great. Sounds like a good plan. Why don't we just go to, is there someone in the audience today who wants to speak? Sir, do you want to come up? Good morning, sir. You sit in there's a red button in front of you? Oh, Jordan's got it. If I could have your name and address, please, sir.
Sure. My name is Graham Brown, and my wife and I live immediately to the north of the developer's proposal. We've lived there for over 15 years and
All right, sir.
built the house.
We're not going to, I don't think, deal with the merits of the case today.
Understood.
The applicant has requested a deferral. All I really need from you this morning is whether you support or not the request for a deferral.
We're delighted that the applicant has decided to defer and would urge the committee to please encourage the developer to negotiate with us in good faith.
All right, great. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now we'll go to those online. We'll hear from the owner at 46 LaScelles Boulevard.
Good
Hi, can
morning.
I can I speak now?
Yep. Your name and address, please, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. I'm Diane McCurley. I'm here with my husband Colin McCurley, and we live directly south at number 46 LaScelles. I also am very pleased that the owner has decided to defer on this project. There are considerable variances that many people are objecting to, and I encourage Mr. Felice to seek input from the community and make meaningful changes to his proposed bill.
Great.
We're an open community, welcoming, and we look forward to next steps. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Our third speaker.
Yes, we'll hear from the owner at 51 LaScelles Boulevard.
Mr. Courtwright.
Across the street.
Sorry, sir, I didn't catch the first part. We'll need your name and address again, please.
My name is Anthony Courtwright, and I live at 51 LaSalle's Boulevard, across the street from the proposed development. I support the deferral.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. All right. We don't need to go back to the agent panel. I'll take it into committee. Does anyone want to make a motion? Mr. Byatt? Oh, sorry, that was, you want to move to defer?
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Byatt to defer, seconded by Mr. McKay. All in favor? You have your deferral, sir, and I think you've heard from the neighbors that they look forward to having those discussions with you. All right, we return to item number 2, which is 138 Indian Road. This is an application to alter the existing 3-story detached dwelling currently under construction as approved by previous minor variance application by constructing a rear 3rd-story addition with a rear 3rd-story rooftop patio. A portion of the existing 3rd floor and the existing 3rd floor rooftop patio will be demolished. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of trees on the subject property, covering letter from the agent, previous decision numbers affecting the subject property, map of comparable density approvals, and we have correspondence and support from 167, 201, 165 Westminster, 175 Parkside Drive, and 135 and 134 Indian Road. Correspondence and opposition from 140 Indian Road.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person. We have 1 registered speaker in opposition in person and 1 speaker in support online.
Great, good morning. Is your red button on?
It is now.
There it is now. All right, ma'am, if I could have your name and address, please.
Yeah, maybe I can just kick it off. My name's Nicole Prasad. I'm the homeowner. I'm at 138 Indian Road.
Okay, and your colleague?
My name is Allison Milne, and I am the designer and agent working with Nicole and Bahe for 138 Indian Road.
All right, we'll need a presentation this morning, so you have 5 minutes.
Sure thing, yeah. So thanks a lot for your time today. Maybe just quickly by way of background, we initially came to COA in April 2024, just in connection with this home renovation, and were approved at that time. Since that time, we've started construction, but our circumstances have changed. I just had a baby 2 months ago, and we're now going to be welcoming our elderly parents to live with us on the 2nd floor. So we're making this a multi-generational home. As a result, we do need some office space on our 3rd floor. So we are looking to make a minor change to the footprint of just the rear of our property to have this office space for my husband and I to work. Allison will speak to the specific variance, but just as mentioned, just wanted to flag, we have 6 letters of support from, including, and that is from our next door neighbor immediate to the south, and also across the street. So I might just pass it to Allison to speak to the specific variance.
Thanks, Nicole. As discussed, we're proposing to amend the 3rd floor of this dwelling, and it is just to add 3 feet back of an extension to the 3rd floor of the dwelling due to the lifestyle changes that were explained by Nicole. This is one minor variance due to the FSI increase from the previously approved 1.07 to 1.13 times, which is an increase of 15.9 meters squared. I'd also like to note that although this is increasing the FSI, this is also increasing the height, but we are still well within the allowed height without triggering a variance on that, and we're in compliance with that restriction. It's simply the FSI increase that we are asking for today. I've included in our supporting material a map that indicates 10 examples of previously approved densities similar to our request within 1 kilometer. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Maybe we can hear from the speaker. Thank you very much.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll call up the owner at 140 Indian Road.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Richard Marazzi from 140 Indian Road.
All right, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. The original approval for what was done really impacted my home. Sorry, I got a bit of feedback here. Okay. And I just want to show, because what is being proposed is going to continually impact the enjoyment of my property, the value of my home, and the amount of light I'm getting. This is currently the state of the wall that was built right
Or
up.
did you submit those materials previously?
Yeah.
You have? Okay, do we have them somewhere? Can we call them up? He was holding up something different than that.
It's on another slide, probably. It's that one there. You can. Sure.
Okay. Is that the one you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see what the original structure looked like. I only have about a 6-meter deep backyard, and the position of my home is a little bit forward from 138. The new wall, which in the application was brick, they've opted for this black siding, which is not in their view site, but in mine. It's created a giant black wall, 3 stories. The new proposal of changing the pitch roof to a flat roof will not only impact the sun, but will also create 3 stories of a black aluminum siding wall that's very imposing on my property and my backyard. Also from views from my window, and there should be another slide in there. Keep going. There you go. So there's a view from one of the windows showing what the view used to look like and what it looks like now. So you can imagine where that plywood is. It's going to be a continuation of that black siding. If you can keep going down a bit. Is there another slide? Here's another view of from one of my windows where the proposed extension is going to be, including switching from a pitch roof to a flat roof, which will be surely cladded with black aluminum siding again. If you can go down, I did a little diagram to show the obstruction that I'm going to be facing, and that's just from one window. There's 4 other viewpoints that are also going to be impacted by this. So if I could just say, I lived in the property for 16 years. I lived in the neighborhood for 30 years. I tend to my garden. I enjoy the space in the backyard. I It's a southern-facing wall. I've lost a lot of light. My grass isn't, my garden isn't growing well anymore. It's hard to enjoy the property staring at this big black 3-story wall, and it's going to get worse. So I am opposing this amendment because I think it's enough. I think what has been done is enough. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions of the speaker? Thank you very much for coming down, sir.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 201 Westminster Avenue.
Good morning.
Through the chair, will the speaker was here. Will make an attempt to reach
Sure.
speaker 201. Yeah.
Yep. Mr. Lee. The speaker's in support.
Mr. John Lee, you have been unmuted.
Mr. Lee, good morning. No luck? He's still there? Sir, you're unmuted. Are you muted on your end? All right, well, we have to move on. We're just going to note that you are in support of this application. Thank you. All right, if we could get the agent back, please. Okay, you heard some of the concerns of your neighbors. I wonder if you could take a moment to try and address those.
Absolutely.
Is your mic on? Yep,
Nope.
there you go.
Sorry about that. Absolutely. I am sorry to hear that the choice of materiality is not what the neighbor would like to see. But possibly we could suggest frosting that window or doing an application or something for him on that one window. But this was the right choice for the home and very in keeping with the other architectural renovations that we do in the area. I have personally renovated and seen you all before many times, 25 to 30 homes in that area, and it is not uncharacteristic what we chose to use.
Maybe just to add to that, yeah, the siding is very characteristic of the area. Actually, the reason why we had to put siding on that side was because we were not allowed access to his property to do brickwork. So that's actually the reason why we have black siding over there. And maybe just to address the garden growth comment, there's also a very large tree that provides shade over my neighbor's entire backyard, and so there's not much sunlight there to begin with. But I think, I'm not sure if that's even part of the committee, but just to keep the focus on the FSI, I would say that's also very consistent with what's been previously approved in the area.
Okay. Thank you. Panel, any questions? We have no questions. Thank you very much. Let's take this into committee. Who wants to start us off? Zahir?
Sure, I'll start off. Thank you, Chair. I think what we have before us is a single variance. And I noted earlier that there was an application previously that was approved for 1.07 times FSI. The request now is for an additional 0.06. So the additional is actually very minor. And I take note of the reasons why. So all told, I don't believe that this is a major request, and we've got a single variance in front of us. So it's one that I find supportive.
The agent offered to frost the window on the one side. Do you want to take them up on that?
If they're willing to do it, and it's no problem, I think that might be one way to appease
Okay.
the situation.
Anyone else? No? All right. Zahir, you want to make a motion?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move a motion to approve this application. I'm not sure if we want to put that as a condition with the frosted window.
Yeah, I think.
So we'll add that as a condition, that the frosted window on, I forget which side it is.
Only if he would like to do that, but if he would, it's an application that our contractor can apply to his window, yes.
So we'll have the frosted window and
It's on the second story?
second floor.
Second
If he
story,
wants it.
if he wants that,
Only if
yes.
he wants it, though, yeah.
Yep.
Let's do that. I think that might.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Byatt to approve the application with that condition.
Hold on. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm just trying to think about how the wording of this condition is. So we're out of committee. What side?
Oh, which window is it?
Which window? No, we can't impose a condition on his property. It's on your property, on the subject site.
I think that's what they're asking, though.
Is that what you're stating?
No, I was just saying that it could be an option if he's interested, that our contractor could put an application.
On his property?
Oh,
No,
sorry.
we can't impose that condition.
We're totally, I was totally confused.
No, it's just an offer.
That's something that we can't do as part of the committee. That is way beyond our scope.
Just-
So we will leave that as something simply for you to continue to
Absolutely.
negotiate with them outside of this process.
Absolutely, thank you.
We're back in committee.
Thank you, Sabrina, for clarifying that.
Thank you. So basically, it's a motion to approve with no conditions attached.
Okay, motion by Mr. Byatt to approve. Do I have a seconder? Mr. McKay, all in favor? You have your approval.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought it was on the subject property. Okay. All right, we move on to item number 3. 36 VALEWOOD Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a complete 3rd-story addition with a rear 3rd-story balcony and a rear 2-story addition, a partial front 1-story addition, a front covered porch, and a rear ground floor deck. Committee has before it a copy of the plan and survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 11 photographs of the subject property, staff report from Urban Forestry, and a total of 18 form letters in support signed by owners occupants of VALEWOOD, Cherrywood, Rushton Road, Arlington Avenue, and again, Cherrywood and Ruston.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner. My address is 193 Rowe Avenue, Toronto.
Okay, panel, do you want a presentation or you have any questions? You want a presentation, Zahir?
No, just a
Just questions. Sir, we don't need a presentation this morning. We've read the material. We're familiar with your application, but I do think we have some questions. So, Zahir?
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of quick ones, and I think they're already probably self-evident, but I'd just like to hear them. Variance number 4, the front yard soft landscaping, is that an existing condition?
Yes, you're 100% correct. It is existing.
Okay, thank you. And the other question, two actually, the rear interlock brickwork that you've got, I take it that's being replaced, and you're going to have, is it artificial? Oh, and artificial turf to be removed. And this will be natural soft landscaping?
Correct. Again.
Okay. And just the other third question, sorry. On the 3rd floor, you've got a balcony on the west side. I was wondering if on the west side we need a privacy screen of 1.5 meters.
We're more than happy to incorporate one. If the
Thank
committee
you. That would be great.
suggests.
It just makes it less onerous for your neighbors. Thank you.
Sure,
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Gary?
Yes, sorry, just quickly, with respect to the purpose, it includes a partial front 1-story addition. Is that sort of aggravating the current situation in terms of no landscaping being available?
Well, currently there's a porch that goes across the entire front of the house. We are using half that porch to do a front addition, front vestibule addition. So it's really kind of not necessarily aggravating the situation. We do need a variance for that front addition. You can see right, if you just look at the screen, you see where it says entry. Right, that's what we're adding, but currently the front porch expands all the way across where that entry is being proposed. Not sure if that answers your question, but I'm hoping
It does, thank you, okay.
They're not making it worse, it sounds like, Gary. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. We'll take this into committee. Gary, did you want to move this one?
Yes, it'd be fine, all right. Thanks for the discussion, and so I would move that we approve this variance on VALEWOOD Avenue.
There's forestry condition.
Yes, urban forestry condition number 1.
Okay. And you wanted to have a condition for screening on the, is it third floor balcony? Is which side?
West side.
West side of the third. Gary, you okay with that?
Yes, certainly, yep.
All right.
Your measure.
Motion by Mr. McKay to approve, subject to forestry and screening, seconded by Mr. Gogan. All in favor? You have your approval with those conditions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is 102 Albany Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a new front porch with stairs and a canopy, second-story front bay window, front and rear basement walkouts, and a rear ground floor deck with stairs and a canopy. Also to expand the basement towards the rear side, rear of the lot. Committee has before a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, revised site plan, floor plans and elevations, red line public notice, revised zoning waiver, a covering letter from the agent, and an arborist report. We have email correspondence from Transportation Services and Community Planning.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Name and address, please, ma'am.
My name is Adria Maynard. I'm speaking on behalf of Post Architecture, Inc. as the agent for 102 Albany, and our address is 6 Dartnell Avenue.
All right. You've submitted a red line public notice, so maybe you could just take us through the changes to start with that you're making in your variances?
Sure. The only change to the public notice was an improvement of the soft landscaping at the front of the house. So it was originally proposed to be 26%, and we adjusted the design of the front to allow for 37% soft landscaping.
Okay, so it is 37.32% and 15.86 square meters.
Correct.
That's your change, okay. All right, panel, does anyone need a presentation or want a presentation on this one with that change? I think that probably answers one of the questions that everyone had on this file.
Right.
Okay, ma'am, we, given the changes, we don't really need a presentation this morning. We've read your application, we're familiar with the material. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision? I assume you've seen the material from Planning and Transportation?
Can you pull that up on the screen, please?
Okay, do you want to pull the transportation? Transportation is fine. They give an advisory comment. Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
Okay, let's pull that up. Can you read that, ma'am?
I can. Okay, we can do that. That's just fine.
Okay, and the planning report is basically tying it to the site plan.
Sure.
You're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there anything further you'd like to add?
No, not unless there's any other questions.
Panel, any other questions on this application? I see none. Let's take it into committee. Paul?
Hi there. I'll start out with a comment, and then I'll make a motion. I find that this application is kind of appropriate for the neighborhood. It's also a kind of a controlled alteration, very minor in nature. All three variances are, again, I think appropriate for the use of the property as well. So I would move that we approve the variance as presented, with noting with tying the application to the plans that were submitted.
Okay, motion by Mr. Gogan to approve with the condition.
As amended.
As amended, thank you. With the condition of tying the approval to the site plan. Seconded by Mr. McKay. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we might be able to deal with items 5 and 6.
Together? Yeah.
Yep.
Got the same thing. Thank you. All right. I'll read both. Is the agent online?
The agent
Same
is
agent?
here in person, yes.
Same agent for both applications?
Yes.
Okay. I'll read both items into the record before we start. Item number 5 is 206 Gladstone. This is an application to convert the existing one-story ancillary building into a two-story ancillary building with a front canopy containing a one-car garage on the ground level, with the one laneway suite will occupy the second level, by constructing a front two-story addition and a complete second-story addition. There will be a total of 2 residential dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of the subject property, a 3D massing image from the agent, copy of limiting distance agreement affecting adjacent properties. We have 2 form letters in support from 575 and 577 Dufferin Street, and we have correspondence in opposition from 208 Gladstone. We will deal concurrently with item number 6, which is the adjacent semi. This is 204 Gladstone Avenue. This is an application to convert an existing one-story ancillary building into a two-story ancillary building with a front canopy containing a one-car garage and a storage and utility room on the ground floor level, and 1 laneway suite that will occupy the second level. Constructing a front 2-story addition and complete second-story addition. There'll be a total of 4 residential dwelling units on this lot, 3 within the main dwelling and 1 on the ancillary building. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of the subject property, 3D massing image from the agent, a copy of a limiting distance agreement affecting 204 and 206 Gladstone. We have 2 form letters in support from 575 and 577 Dufferin Street, and a correspondence in opposition again from 204 Gladstone, Apartment A.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the speaker for 208 Gladstone online, and the speaker for 204 Gladstone here in person, and the agent is here in person as well.
We have the speaker for. We have a speaker for 204.
So we have a speaker for 208. Sorry, 208.
Just 208. 204 is the owner.
204 is the owner. Yeah, we probably have the address incorrect.
Okay. You're speaking for 204. Okay. You'll get your turn in a minute. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Name and address, please.
Jason Kiefer, 496 St. James Street, London, Ontario.
And your colleague?
This is
Milan Jovanovic, 206 Gladstone Avenue.
You're the owner.
I'm the owner.
Okay. All right. We have some people who wish to speak to this item, so we'll need a presentation, please.
Okay. Well, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. We are seeking approval for 3 variances, each for 204 and 206 Gladstone Avenue, for our proposal to construct 2 laneway suites, 1 on each lot, sharing a party wall. Both buildings will contain parking, storage, and utility areas on the ground floor, and 2 bedroom rental units on the second floor with access from the rear yard. Since firefighting access was not available through the lane, the owners worked to form a limiting distance agreement establishing a firefighting access pathway between the two lots accessed from Gladstone. This agreement was completed just last week and has been an ongoing planning process for the better part of a year. And we've included that agreement as part of the support material. It's important to note that the subject and neighboring lots on Gladstone are atypically deep. The average lot depth in Ward 19 is approximately 35 meters, and the subject lots are 50 meters deep. They are 42% greater in length than the average lot in this ward. As a result, the impact of the two primary variances we are seeking approval for, additional building length and height, will be substantially reduced. With deeper lots, we're able to provide separation distances between the existing dwellings and the proposed laneway suites far beyond the 7.5 meter minimum requirement. We're proposing separation distances of 16.52 meters at 206 and 21.34 meters at 204, over double and nearly 3 times the required separation distance, respectively. These larger separation distances will lessen the impact of the proposed developments on the subject and neighboring lots. We are requesting a 2.64 meter increase in length, a 26% increase, in order to maintain existing parking and accommodate the proposed uses serving the suites above, storage, utilities, and internal access staircases to the units. The added length also allows us to achieve comfortable 2-bedroom units, which would otherwise be unfeasible within the 10-meter limit. Given the additional building length requested, the balconies were designed to provide privacy to both those residing in the new dwelling units and those living along Gladstone Avenue. Rather than proposing balconies located in the rear yard, we have opted to locate the balconies along the lane in order to reduce overlook and have inset them into the structure. Regarding height, we've designed higher than code minimum ceiling heights, resulting in an overage of 1 meter for 204 and 3/4 meter for number 206, or 16 and 12% respectively. In the garage, the owners intend to construct overhead storage and install a car lift for vehicle maintenance. Note that the height of the proposed garage areas themselves do not exceed the permitted 4-meter height normally zoned for garages. On the second floor, we have designed the units with a 9-foot ceiling height with the intent of increasing the quality of the living space for the tenants. The massing of the proposed buildings is modest in comparison to the existing massing north of the subject lots. The provided renderings illustrate the context of the proposed buildings. They will integrate well into the landscape. Notably, a 3-story dwelling unit backs onto the lane from Dufferin Street, and the buildup increases in volume with the buildings backing off of Federal Street. Our proposed buildings will act as a suitable transition between the existing garages to the south and the increasing massing to the north. As for the soft landscaping requirement, we are seeking approval for a modest reduction resulting from existing conditions. We have not proposed to alter the existing amenity spaces for either property. The existing porches, walkouts, patio areas, and right-of-way walkway are the cause of the overage and hardscaping. The proposed walkways to the laneway suites are not a contributing factor as per the bylaw. Finally, as we are all aware, the city is in need of additional dwelling units. We ask that members of the public inclined to opposing development consider whether their reasons are just when requesting that potential homes not be constructed. Our proposal seeks to strike a balance between providing buildings with quality rental units and ancillary use while being cognizant of the potential impacts on the subject lots, those in the immediate vicinity, and the neighborhood at large. We've attempted to maintain the spirit of the bylaw with this proposal. All consider, we hold that the proposed developments satisfy the 4 tests and are appropriate for approval.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any burning questions before we hear from the speakers? Okay, let's hear from, there's someone in the audience wishes to speak, so we'll ask you to head back into the gallery, guys, and
Through you, Mr. Chair, then we'll ask the owner at 204 Gladstone to come up.
he's a renter.
You're, okay, sir, come up.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Alexander Olson, and I live at 204 Gladstone Avenue, Unit A.
Okay. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My partner and I have lived at 204 Gladstone since April of 2021. Throughout this time, we've understood and actively used the backyard as a shared space between the 3 units at 204 Gladstone Avenue. The backyard space currently includes a small raised patio near the main building, exclusively used by our downstairs neighbor, a paved area with a large table, chairs, and 2 barbecues we own, where we regularly dine and cook from the spring to the fall, raised garden beds, where my partner has grown vegetables and perennials for several years with the applicant's knowledge and encouragement, further wild gardening space, also actively used by my partner with full knowledge and support from the applicants, and at the rear of the property, an outdoor shed which we use daily for storing seasonal items, gardening equipment, and our bicycles, which serve as our primary mode of transportation. The application before the committee today proposes removing the existing shed as it sits directly in the area planned for the new Laneway Suites expansion. It also implicitly requires the removal of existing paved space in the eastern part of the backyard into soft landscaping in order to achieve the 50% soft landscaped area mentioned in the application. Our first notification of these significant changes to the backyard was the sign posted at the front of the property announcing this application to the committee. We received no formal notification or opportunity for discussion with the applicants prior to this public posting. Despite this challenging timeline, over the last 2 weeks, we have actively sought clarification and dialogue with the applicants. They have provided some reassurances, including protection of the existing garden beds. However, important details remain unclear. Most significantly, despite the promise of a replacement shed, the applicants have not been able to confirm the location, size, and final placement of this shed, or whether this replacement would further reduce the soft landscaped area below the 50% being considered today. Moreover, the applicants failed to mention the removal of the paved area that this application implies, even as they represented their description of the work to us as comprehensive. In our view, as presented, this application does not meet the necessary tests under the Planning Act. First, it fails the test of being minor in impact, as the removal of paved areas and the existing shed represents significant disruption to our daily use of these backyard areas, without clear provisions for equivalent replacement. Second, it fails to meet the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, which is specifically to preserve a minimum amount of soft landscape space. Even the 50% requested here is below the standard set by the bylaw, and the uncertainty around the additional shed may further erode that landscaping. Removal of the paved area is not referenced in the description of proposal, despite being implied by the plans. Finally, it fails the test of maintaining the intent and purpose of Toronto's official plan, which encourages additional housing forms provided they respect the existing physical character of neighborhood backyards, particularly green rear yards that support drainage, tree canopy, and private outdoor amenity. Despite this, it is not our intention to block the construction of a laneway suite in its entirety. In fact, we support the addition in principle. A refusal today does not preclude the owners from building a laneway suite that meets the bylaw outright. An as-of-right design, one that keeps the minimum 60% soft landscaping and requires no additional variance, remains fully available to them. In other words, our position simply ensures the project respects the standards rather than stopping it altogether. Unfortunately, the uncertainty around critical details, as well as the lack of communication or opportunity for discussion, leaves us unable to support the application as it stands. Should the committee ultimately choose to approve this application, we respectfully ask that it impose clear conditions to address our concerns. Namely, to require the applicants to clarify the impacts of the proposal on the existing paved area, and either require the applicants to provide equivalent secure tenant storage within the proposed laneway suite building itself, eliminating the need for an additional freestanding structure, or require the applicants to commit clearly, as a condition of approval, to providing an outdoor shed of equal or greater storage capacity, explicitly detailing its location on a revised site plan, and ensuring that soft landscaping will not be further reduced below the 50% proposed today. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions? Thank you very much, sir.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from then the owner at 208 Gladstone, who is online.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Paul Costa. I'm representing the owner's wishes from 208 Gladstone regarding the variance to 206 Gladstone.
And your address, sir, sorry.
It's 208 Gladstone.
Okay. All right. You have 5 minutes.
Right, thank you. Representing the homeowners and their subsidence statements that we posted on July 2nd in relation to their concerns, there's 3 points of conditions that we'd like addressed. When we looked at the diagrams posted online, it wasn't clear in the labeling. Number one was if the new structure, the add-on, would be attached to the existing shared party wall of the ancillary unit garage or be separate. Concerns that the attached structure could affect the structure integrity and also the resale value. Point number two would be any changes to the shared fence as it's in good condition on the property line and whether or not any changes would take place during the construction. Then point number three was declining access to 208 Gladstone property as the homeowners don't want to accept any liability during the construction or maintenance. Thank you. Those are our concerns.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions? See none. Gentlemen, do you want to come back up? All right. You've heard some concerns, so I wonder if you could take a moment to try and address those.
Okay. So thanks to Alex from 204 for the comments. A number of those are landlord tenant items, so they don't really have much bearing on the decision here today. Just the the patio space, the gardens, and the shed, those are all items that need to be worked out between those two parties and don't really address the variances that we're hearing here today. And I spoke about soft landscaping during my presentation. We're asking for 50% rather than 60%. We've done our best to maximize it. You know, we could remove some of the patio amenity space, but we thought that, that's a usable space for the tenants and best to keep that there because that's a high traffic area with the one exit from the ground floor and then the walkout for the tenant in the basement. So, I think this is pretty balanced overall. 50% is substantial amount of soft landscaping and will be sufficient for drainage. And then for 208, same sort of thing. Those items aren't really. They don't have anything to do with the zoning, but just to address the party wall. That'll be dealt with at the building permit process. We're not planning on a party wall. We're not showing a party wall. We know that the neighbor doesn't want to consent to a party wall. The fence would either be removed or moved. Building a laneway suite, the wall will effectively act as a fence. So I'm not quite sure, what the intent is there with that comment. And then the third comment was.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Can I just hold off for a second?
Sure.
Did you want to speak to this application? Oh. Okay. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. Sorry. Okay.
That's all right.
Continue.
The third item is related to construction, so we don't really need to address that here. But that's a building code permitting issue. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Questions? I have a couple. The height. So you're a meter over what the bylaw allows, and you're a flat roof. So maybe you could just explain why you need the extra height.
Yeah, so it's a meter, okay, it's a meter on the one property and 3/4 meter approximately, yeah, on the other, and that's due to the average grade.
Yeah, but
and
it's a flat roof right across
It's
both,
flat
right?
roof right across, yeah, and the reason is for the suites above, we are wanting to have a 9-foot ceiling height for those apartments rather than 8. We want to go above the minimum and for the quality of living of that space, make them nicer apartments basically. And then for the ground floor, the tenants are, the owners are hoping to install overhead storage in the garage area and also car lift in one case at 206 to do maintenance on their vehicle. So that would be we're asking for 11 foot 8, I believe, is the ceiling height there. Then we do have a small parapet at the top for the perimeter of the roof.
Okay, and on the length, if you were, do you have a sense of if you were to meet the 60%, how much shorter it would be?
No, not offhand right now, I don't. 60%, if we're looking at the area.
I don't want you
to do the
calculation now. I just thought you might have a sense of what the size, because again, your length is considerably beyond what the bylaw is considered.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, panel? None? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to committee. Anyone have any thoughts? Is it here?
So I'll just start with some comments and observations, Chair. When I saw both of the applications, what jumped out at me, of course, was variances 1 in both cases, requesting a reduction of rear yard soft landscaping. And of course, both of those variances for each property also tied to variances number 2, which is the length of the building. And then, of course, the height of the building also jumped out at me. So because the length is tied to the soft landscaping issue, 2 is tied to 1, from my perspective, I don't see any reason why that should happen. I don't see the need for this excessive length. And as you raised the question about the height, I'm also concerned about that. I don't believe there's a necessity for that. So I think this, for me, is problematic. Both the applications are difficult for me to support.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Paul?
First of all, I like when I see applications that are coordinated between adjacent landowners. That's always good because then you're having discussions and actively discussing. I think the points that were raised about landlord-tenant issues versus committee issues are separate issues, but it's also good to know what the context in which the property is working with. I do think that the height is problematic. The interior height to accommodate a lift and then the resulting 9-foot ceilings really creates a kind of quite an extraordinarily tall building in that neighborhood. And sets I don't know if I would like the precedent it sets for that laneway as well. And I agree with my colleague about the landscape requirement as well. These are big lots, and they should be able to accommodate the rear yard landscape requirement.
Okay, I will similarly weigh in. First of all, I think there is probably a proposal for a laneway suite back here. I don't think this is it. I think I was unconvinced by your response to the question about height. the bylaw is there for a reason, particularly with a flat roof. And a peaked roof, I get it, maybe a little bit higher, but on a flat roof, that's an imposing structure when you're a meter above what the bylaw considers. I think, if you crimped it back a little bit, you could probably come close to the 60% in terms of landscaping. So my bigger concern is, I appreciate that it's a deep lot and everything else, but my bigger concern is the height, is that this is, well beyond what the bylaw contemplates. And I think there's ways that this proposal could be restructured which you could likely conform with what the bylaw considers. So I won't be able to be supporting this application today. So I'll look to someone for a motion. So here?
Sure, I'll move the motion, Chair. Shall I move a motion for both?
Yeah, we need separate motions? Separate motions, but you can move them both at the same time.
Okay. So I'd like to move a motion to refuse the applications of application number 5 and number 6.
Okay. Motion to refuse item 5, 206 Gladstone, and item 6, 204 Gladstone by Mr. Byatt. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Gogan, all in favor? The applications are refused. Thank you. Item number 7. .314 GLENAYR Road. This is an application to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with 2 integral garages, one on the basement and one on the ground floor, a new widened driveway, a front ground floor covered porch, a rear ground floor covered deck, a rear 3rd floor balcony, and the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling will be demolished. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations received July 3rd, covering letter from the agent. I have an arborist report and presentation materials from the agent. There is email correspondence from Transportation Services and a staff report from Urban Forestry. We have 2 letters of support from 308 and 318 GLENAYR. We have correspondence and concern from 315 GLENAYR, and we have correspondence and opposition from 312 GLENAYR.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person. We also have the person in opposition at 312 GLENAYR online.
Great, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Ian Andres. I'm a lawyer with Goodmans here on behalf of the applicant and owner, who will introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Sangeeta Vivekanandan.
Great. All right, sir. We have someone who wants to speak to this item, so we'll need a presentation.
I will, thank you. Mr. Wengel submitted presentation slides. I believe they're up on the screen, so I'll just walk through those as I speak. So the subject property is located in the heart of Forest Hill on the west side of GLENAYR Road, mid-block between Ava Road and Elderwood Drive. It's a beautiful street with a mix of 2- and 3-story homes. The existing 2.5-story house on the subject property is proposed to be demolished and replaced with a new 3-story house with an integral garage and a covered outdoor patio at the back. As noted on page 1 of the package, which is up on the screen, variances are requested for FSI, north side yard setback, building length and depth, main wall height, driveway, and parking space width. If you go to the next slide, please, this is the site plan. You can see that much of the landscaped open space in the rear, well, all of it in the rear yard and much of it in the front yard is proposed to be retained. If we go further to the next slide, 3, you can also see that the new house that's proposed is proposed almost entirely within the as-of-right footprint, which is delineated in red, and is just slightly beyond where the existing house sits, which is kind of faint but is outlined in green dashed line. In a couple of places, the new house is actually further into the property than the existing, but it does exceed the existing footprint in a couple of other locations. The only exceptions to being built within the as-of-right footprint are that the north side wall, which is on the right of the page, is being proposed 30 centimeters closer to the side lot line than is permitted. That's for the side wall as well as the covered patio at the back for the platform and the roof on it. The first floor breakfast nook, which is the thicker black line on the left side of the page, extends a bit beyond the permitted ground floor extension in the rear. The second main floor wall extends less than a meter beyond the permitted building envelope at the rear. And then the basement at the front of the house extends under the driveway for just a portion of the front yard. But despite these exceedances and the variances that are being sought, the south side yard setback next to 312 GLENAYR is fully compliant and is actually an slightly increased setback than what exists today. The rear yard setback is entirely complied with, and the rear yard's undisturbed. There's ample amenity space, and there's several large mature trees which will be retained. The majority of the front yard is also being retained with landscaping, and the driveway width and orientation is the same as what exists today. So the driveway width of 5.29 meters exists mostly within the boulevard. As you can see at the bottom of the page, that's proposed to be retained. It flares out a little bit from the curb cut, and then it flares back in with the proposal to meet the garage entrance. The building depth of 20.46 meters captures the entire above grade depth from front main wall to the back of the breakfast nook, even though the majority of the house is actually less than 18 meters in depth. It's just the breakfast nook that goes further. The building length at 26.52 meters is measured from the front of the encroachment to the front yard below grade only. So that's the portion of the basement that extends underneath the garage. And that is where the full depth comes in. But it's in fact all below grade and won't be visible from the street, anything in front of the front yard. So that additional 6 meters or so is just a storage space that's an extension of the garage below grade. If we go to the next two slides quickly, please, these are neighborhood maps that Mr. Wengel's office has produced, which show the extensive approvals in the neighborhood. There are 18 prior approvals of FSIs at 90% or greater in the immediate vicinity. There are also 14 prior building length approvals, that's shown on the next page, at 25 meters or greater. And there's a few dozen length variances overall and probably over 100 FSI variances overall. If you go to the next slide, please, with respect to height, the entirety of the dwelling falls under the overall 12-meter building height that's permitted. That's the red line at the top. What we have is a partial sloped roof and a partial flat roof design, and that's what's triggering the flat portion is what's triggering the main wall height variance. And the main wall height variance is limited on the third floor to approximately 2/3 of the footprint of the third floor. And on the south side, it's only about 10 meters in length, and on the north side, it's only about 4.5 meters in length. That's the flat roof portion, but it's design driven, and as I said, there is a sloped roof component on all four sides. As you've noted, city planning staff have not raised any issues with the proposal. Transportation Review has confirmed that they have no objections. Urban Forestry similarly has no concerns. They're just looking for the standard condition. Mr. Wengel did send his package out to all the neighbors in the vicinity. You noted there's 2 letters of support. We're aware of the 2 letters or 2 emails that have been filed. Neither of those individuals contacted Mr. Wengel despite being invited to do so, or contacted my client. So we're not entirely sure what their concerns are. But in our submission, respectfully, there are no negative impacts caused by this proposal. The general intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw, we believe, is maintained, and we respectfully request that the Committee of Adjustment approve the application. We're content with the urban forestry condition, and we would also be content with the condition to build substantially in accordance with the site plan and elevation.
Okay, so we have someone who wants to speak to this. I do have a quick technical question before they do that. I'm not quite sure. The description talks about 2 integral garages. Can you just explain, I appreciate you've got some storage underneath, but there's only one garage that's facing the road. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chairman. It's essentially a 2-level garage with a lift structure. So as you drive into the single-car garage, a lift can take a car down.
I get that, but the description says 2 integral garages. Is that correct?
I would say no. There's 1 garage door opening, a single garage.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can amend the purpose to read 1 integral garage.
Yeah, I think that.
And then maybe just also say that it's a car lift from the basement to the ground floor.
Yeah, I had this vision of 2 garages, one above each other, which didn't make any sense.
Well, the way the purpose is written, it says 2 integral garages, bracket 1 on basement and 1 on ground floor. So it is as I described with the lift, allowing 1 car to be stored on top of the other.
Okay, I don't want to belabor the point. It's more just my misunderstanding. Okay, thank you. Any burning questions before we hear from the speaker? Okay. Thank you very much.
We'll hear from the owner at 312 GLENAYR Road.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and address, please.
My name is Sahar Hariri, and I'm the owner of 312 GLENAYR Road.
Okay, ma'am, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My objections are to items number 2 and 8 of the requested variances. Basically, the requested increase in height and the length of the house seems significant to me, and that might cause my house to feel boxed in and reduce the privacy. Another concern that I have is I appreciate that they haven't asked for any side setback to the south side. However, two houses seem very close to each other, and I was wondering if there are any steps being taken, like shoring, to avoid damage to my property or any settlement.
Okay. Anything further?
No, the main objection is basically the height and length, and I feel like by increasing it's not the characteristic of the neighborhood, and the significant increase in height and length will reduce the privacy of my property. That's
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, I think that's it for our speakers, so back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just briefly in response to Ms. Hariri next door, with respect to the building length, I'll deal with that first, and I did address this in my previous remarks. The additional building length is almost entirely related to that portion that extends under the garage, so that will be not visible whatsoever from the street or from Ms. Hariri's property. I acknowledge that the house goes a little bit further back in the rear than what the bylaw permits, but that, again, for the two-story portion is less than a meter, and then the breakfast nook extends out an additional couple of meters, as you can see on the left side of the page. But that's just a one-story structure on the ground floor, and the outdoor room is not part of the building footprint. It does not have side walls. It's really just a covered patio. So with respect, the building length is only slightly beyond what the zoning permits and certainly well within the range of approvals in Forest Hill for houses of this nature. For the height, again, the bylaw permits 12 meters as of right for a slope roof design. This is a partial slope, partial flat roof, and there is a portion, as you can see, of the magenta colored third floor that builds up to the 11.69 meters. But again, that portion, if you measure the length of it, is about 10 meters next to Ms. Hariri's property. This is intended to accommodate an in-law suite on the third floor for my client's mother to live in. And there's other space up there that's required. There's a prayer room facing east at the front of the house, and then an office proposed at the rear. So the third floor space is important to my client in terms of functionality and family needs. And more than anything, we submit that it's well within the character of what exists in Forest Hill. I appreciate the speaker feels differently, and I guess we have to agree to disagree on that point. In terms of the side yard, just quickly, as I said, the setback on the side yard is both compliant and a slight improvement over what exists today. Certainly, Mr. Wengel's office is very familiar with how to build a house in the city of Toronto and what steps need to be taken to make sure that there's no settlement or no inappropriate impacts on the neighboring property in terms of grading or drainage or any of those things. So I would respectfully submit there's nothing to worry about there.
Okay. Panel, any questions? Gary?
Yes, thanks. I'm also concerned about the building length, but I wanted to ask, when you did your initial presentation, is the rear yard setback still being maintained?
Absolutely. The rear yard setback line is shown on the screen there in blue.
Blue.
And there is, beyond that, there's no construction or alteration proposed at all. The large trees that exist will have the full tree protection zones erected and complied with.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so here.
Thank you, Chair. When I first saw the plans, what struck me was the storage space, and initially I thought, is that a garage under the driveway? But it turns out that it's a storage space, which I assume is got a concrete top and sides and access from the house, which I find problematic. No permeability, and as much as people may argue that you'll have soft landscaping on the top or permeable pavers, that water will not seep through to the ground water table. Having a storage space, which is really part of your home, which should be part of your home, underneath the driveway at the front, I find very difficult to approve or think of. So that ties into, of course, the length. Because I think if you didn't have that, the length issue would be much more, maybe a smaller request. So from that perspective, I do find that particular aspect of this problematic. So it comes down to the length. The height issue, I'd like a little bit more explanation as to where, as the a lady just mentioned, one of the neighbors talked about the height. So you do have a reasonably excessive request for height, and perhaps a little explanation about the height might help.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll address the length issue first. So as you can see on the basement floor plan that's on the screen, the intent is to use that space for storage beyond the garage. Part of the design rationale there was that this space would be under the driveway that exists today, which is already paved and therefore not permeable. Certainly we'd be okay to put permeable pavers on that driveway, although with a structure underneath, I appreciate that the permeability going straight down would be limited. The water would disperse a little bit. What I would say is if this issue, our first request is certainly to approve the application as presented. If this is a significant issue for the panel, then rather than having no approval, we would be prepared to live with an approval where that area is not allowed. In other words, the building length variance would be reduced to match the number of the building depth variance, because if that front yard storage space is pulled back, then it essentially mimics how the building length is measured. So that's not our first ask. That's more of a consolation request, I guess. And if need be, that's a concession that my client's prepared to live with. And happy to answer any further questions if you'd like more clarification about that. With respect to and I guess one last thing about that in terms of stormwater penetration, as I said, the rest of the yard is proposed to be soft landscaping, so we're not seeking a soft landscaping variance or any landscaping variance. There's going to be ample space within both the front and rear yard for water to penetrate down. I know there's lots of houses in Forest Hill that have extensive below grade space extending beyond the above grade footprint. So this is by no means unprecedented. I think what's striking the panel in the question is that this happens to be just a small portion of the lot that is proposed to be built longer. And it's what's probably more conventional in Forest Hill is for actually a longer, what people call iceberg houses, a longer basement. So we've tried to minimize it, but your concern is understood. In terms of the height, again, as I said, it's design driven. The third floor is intended to accommodate extended family, including both a suite and an office space and prayer space. That requires a certain amount of building footprint. We've tried to minimize it. Mr. Wengel's done, I think, an elegant job of mixing a sloped roof portion and a flat roof portion. So the main wall height variance is technically triggered, but this is not a full flat roof design by any means. As I said, the third floor footprint is about 2/3 of the overall footprint. You'll see there's some knee walls proposed on the third floor if we look at that floor plan. And it is, this is the design of the house that best suits our client's needs, and that's what we're expecting to be approved.
Okay, thank you. I have a follow-up question on the front. So the underground portion in the front, does it encroach into the front yard setback?
Yes.
It does.
But it's below grade, so it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I just wondered, like if it were above grade, it would need a variance.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Dale? Yes, so here.
Just for clarification, with regard to the building length and my concern about the storage space, did I understand you correctly, or maybe I misunderstood, that you are prepared to change the length? And if that is my understanding and if it's correct, would the length then match the building depth? I'm just looking at your site plan.
Yes, if we put the basement floor plan up again, if that's possible. I think the short answer to your question is yes, because the building depth is measured from the front yard setback, and the front main wall is built at the front yard setback. So the building depth of 20.8
4.6.
Thank you. 4.6 meters starts being measured from the front wall. So in the event that you're not prepared to approve the full building length being sought, that storage area underneath the driveway could be eliminated, which would trigger a building length variance of the same magnitude, 20.46, as the building depth. Now, I do note on the basement floor plan, there is a cold cellar area underneath the front porch, which goes a little bit beyond, but my understanding from speaking with Mr. Wengel's office is that a building length variance of 20.46 is better than having a refusal.
Okay, is that clear? All right. Any further questions? See none, let's take it into committee. So here I'm going to, since you were asking the questions, I'll ask you to start us off.
I think by and large the property, the design and the application is reasonable. I understand the height issue, but I also note that a fair part of the roof, the third floor, is sloped inward, so it's not as imposing as one might expect it to be if one just looked at the numbers. I do have a problem with the length, the building length, and that would be one variance that I could not support. So perhaps if that was refused.
Well, I think what the agent has offered is rather than refuse the length, match the length up with the depth number. So he would be amending that variance to be consistent with the depth.
With the depth.
So
I think that would be more palatable to me, certainly, than the existing ask. So I'll wait to hear what my colleagues have to.
So which variances? So that is the variance number 2. Instead of 26.52, it would be replaced with 20.46. I think that's what the agent was agreeing to.
That's correct.
Thank you. So if that satisfies your concern, Zahir, anyone else have any other comments?
Well, I can support that change. I think it's appropriate.
Okay. And Paul?
I'll just add another comment. I find the parking, below grade parking and storage a fairly creative solution. It doesn't impact existing large landscape elements like trees. It's underneath existing hard landscape. So that doesn't actually bother me that much. I find it a very creative solution for having an additional vehicle storage site on. So, but, and again, it doesn't impact the overall length of the above ground property. But if that's a concession the applicant's going to make, then I have no problem with it either.
Okay. Just for my part, I agree with you, Paul. I thought, in terms of additional length, I mean, we've seen many, and Mr. Wengel is one of the ones that we often see this kind of proposal from, and where there's an extensive underground structure in the rear. In this case, there isn't, and this case is in the front. And given that there's no front yard landscaping variance, I frankly didn't think it was egregious. I thought it was a fairly creative way to get some space. But, if and when the city comes out with this new bylaw to deal with iceberg houses, this might be an issue that we'd have to look at a little bit differently. But I didn't find it a bad proposal, but similarly, if the agent has agreed to do that and that would get them an approval from a couple of the panel members, then I think it's worthwhile doing. So, anyone want to move a motion?
Sure, I'll take a crack at it, Chair. So I'd like to move a motion to approve this application as amended. The amendment, of course, being variance number 2. I don't believe.
So just to be clear.
Forestry condition number 2.
Just to be clear, Zahir, you're amending variance number 2 to change it from 26.52 to 20.46 meters.
That's correct.
Okay.
As well as the purpose of application.
We're going to change the purpose of the application to make it a little clearer.
Perfect.
Because it's no longer 2 integral garages. Okay, and there is a forestry number 2?
And forestry number 2.
Okay. All right. Motion by Mr. Byatt with those conditions, second by Mr. McKay. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for making the change.
Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Does anyone need 5 minutes? You all good? Everybody good? Keep on going? Okay. All right. Item number 8 is 286 Main Street. This is an application to alter the development standards for a 27-story mixed-use building previously approved through LPAT to permit the ground floor non-residential area to be converted into a childcare center with south and west outdoor recreational areas. Also to 3 short-term parking spaces will be removed. Committee has before a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, covering letter from the agent, decision number, previous decision number affecting the subject property. We have copy of email correspondence between the agent and community planning. We have an arborist report, planning rationale from WND Associates, and presentation materials from the agent. We have email correspondence from Transportation Services and a staff report from Metrolinx. There is correspondence and support from 286 Main Street.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person, no registered speakers.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. My name is Anish Pandey. I work for Tribute Danforth Limited. We are the owners of the non-residential space located at 286 Main Street. My address is 1815 Ironstone Manor in Pickering.
Okay, sir, it sounds like it's a laudable proposal, but you were here before and you got approval for something different for the same space, so maybe you could just give us a bit of an update.
Sure. Yeah, so this is a third variance as it relates to the non-residential space located at the ground floor. The previous variance that was approved in the fall of last year was to expand the uses on the ground floor to all non-residential uses that are outlined in the parent bylaw. That proved to be quite successful. Since that approval, we've had numerous non-residential tenants reach out to us inquiring about the space. One of those uses being childcare facilities. We've had quite a number of discussions with potential childcare providers, and they have expressed the concern that outdoor recreational areas are required for childcare facilities as outlined by the Ministry of Children's Services. They're very strict in terms of what their requirements are, and so we felt it necessary to come back for a variance to permit that. So what we're seeking for here is a reduction in the required non-residential area within the building so that that area can be provided outdoor as potential play area to support the daycare. So it'd simply be a migration of space from indoor to outdoor.
Right. And of course, those rules that the ministry imposes include safety barriers and such for outdoor play areas, right?
Correct, yes. They're all fenced in with certain height limits and whatnot as it relates to barriers, so the children are protected.
Right. Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you for the explanation.
No problem.
And let's go into committee. I think this is a fairly positive redevelopment. Paul?
I'll just make a comment. I've seen a few property owners try to navigate daycare requirement. It is a very challenging thing, the outdoor. So this is I think a great outcome for this property because it's a greatly needed amenity for a lot of residents, and the fact that they're able to accommodate it is great news, I think. So I support this application.
Do you want to move a motion to that effect?
Why don't I move the application as
Okay, no conditions. Motion by Mr. Gogan to approve, seconded by Mr. McKay. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you for coming down. Item number 9.
Through you, Mr. Chair, sorry. Before you read in the materials, there are no letters of opposition. These ones actually should, for this next item that you're going to read in.
Yes.
They've been transferred over to item 19.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. All right. Item number 9, 227 Emerson Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition above the existing one-story portion of the dwelling. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property, and a covering letter from the agent. There's correspondence and support from Yi Yao, no address provided.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
All right.
Hello, my name is Nicole Weissar, and my address is 236 Emerson Avenue. I'm the agent and designer for the proposed addition at 227 Emerson.
Good morning. You are seeking a very modest increase in FSI. So I frankly don't think we need a presentation today. It might be the smallest variance we'll consider today. Is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision?
I agree with you. It is a small variance. I would just like to add that we also had 5 letters of support from the neighbors that was not uploaded to the file, but we had we didn't encounter any opposition by any neighbors. And
okay.
Full support from the neighborhood.
That's great. Thank you. All right, panel, I don't think we have any questions on this one. Let's go right into committee. Who wants to take this? Paul?
Yeah, I'll move this application. Again, very minor in nature. Also, once in a while, I like to have just very good documentation, so it's very clear to understand the application. So again, but just move it as it stands.
All right, motion by Mr. Gogan to approve, seconded by Mr. Byatt. All in favor? That is approved unanimously, and thank you for all the good materials you submitted. Item number 10, 93 Pearson Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3rd-story dormer addition, a ground floor addition and a basement addition. Also to construct a new ground floor deck with stairs. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 1 aerial photograph of the area surrounding the subject property, have an arborist report, and there are 10 form letters in support from owners occupants of Pearson and Avenue and Marion Street.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, 1 registered speaker in interest from 93 Pearson Avenue.
Okay. All right, good morning, Mr. Dome.
Yes, Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owners.
Thank you, sir. We have someone who wishes to speak to this item, so we'll need a short presentation, please.
Sure. The owners would like to alter the existing 2.5-story dwelling by constructing the rear 3rd-story dormer addition, ground floor and basement addition. This would be to accommodate a new bedroom, kitchen space, and basement and family room. There are 3 variances requested. Variance number 1 refers to the proposed eaves setbacks of 0.13 meters on the west side, which is an existing condition, and 0.24 meters from the east side. This has a negligible impact as it is very minor compared to the as of right and applies only to the 1st-story addition. Variance number 2 refers to the proposed side main wall height of 9.24 meters for the rear 3rd-story addition. This is mitigated by the fact that it is a 3.88 meter continuation of the existing main wall height within a rear dormer design and will not impact the streetscape. And as an example, 171 Pearson was approved for 9.31 meter side main wall heights. Variance number 3 refers to the proposed FSI of 0.85, and the existing FSI is 0.71. Impact is mitigated here by the fact the 3rd-story addition is limited in scope. The total proposed length of the dwelling, including the rear main floor addition, meets the bylaw at 15.36 meters, and the 3rd-floor addition really only extends above the existing 2nd story, where the existing 3rd-floor deck is currently. Please see the supporting material overhead maps view, and this shows the subject property and the neighboring massings. And there have been a number of approvals for larger FSIs nearby, including 83 Pearson, 0.95 FSI, 3 houses above the subject property on the map to the east. The longer 2-story massing here is apparent. as well as there are other FSIs, 86 Pearson 1.07, 84 Pearson 1.09, 140 Pearson 0.93, and 168 Pearson 1.01. The owners have spoken to many neighbors and have received the 10 form letters in support on file, including from the attached neighbor at 91 Pearson. And planning staff have no concerns, and overall we feel the application is quite reasonable and minor in nature, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? All right, we have someone waiting to speak to this item.
You, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 93 Pearson Avenue.
Good morning, Mr. Kotick.
Victor Kotick, owner of 93.
Sir, we can barely hear you. You're going to have to get a little closer to the microphone and speak up, please, sir.
Is that better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, owner of the residence, Victor Kotick. I was just really wanted to listen in, so I don't have much to say. Just on the support letters, we do have 10. They include neighbors on both sides and 2 properties directly behind the home on the laneway.
Oh, all right. So you're the owner?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Great. I assume you're supportive.
I am. Yeah, very.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think we need to bring the agent back, but if anyone has any questions. Don't see any questions. Oh, Gary, did you have a question?
I didn't fully understand the height. I wonder if you could just run that by us again. The side exterior main walls, you're asking for 9.24 meters?
Yes, so that would refer to the side main wall height on the west side, and the east side extending past the attached dwelling. So that only applies to a 3.88 meter portion of the main wall. It just extends from the existing main wall height of the dwelling.
Okay. Anything else? All right, let's take this into committee. Gary?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I think this meets the tests, and accordingly, I'm going to move that we approve this variance application, and there are no conditions.
Okay, motion by Mr. McKay to approve, seconded by Mr. Gogan. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Chair, might we consider a break?
Yes, indeed. I was just going to suggest that. Do you need 5 or 10, Gary? 10. Whew. Okay. We'll be back at 11:20.
Members, please turn off your videos, microphones. Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll resume if the members can turn on their videos and microphones. Through you, Mr. Chair, we can, I think he just stepped out, but we do have quorum.
Okay. All right. We continue. Item number 11 was deferred. So we move on to item number 12.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can probably deal with item number 12 and 13 at the same time. It's
Right.
36 and 38 Morningside Avenue, and we do have the agent here in person, no registered speakers.
Okay. Good morning.
Sorry, is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? No? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, members of committee.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, you'll have to read in the material.
I will.
Okay.
Just waiting to do that. I will, because we're going to be dealing with items 12 and 13 concurrently, I'll read both into the record. The first is item 12, 36 Morningside Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing three-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a complete fourth-story dormer, a front second-story exterior flat roof over the entry, and a rear second-story platform with stairs. Committee has before a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 36 photographs of trees on the subject property, a covering letter from the agent, and from the applicants. We have a tree protection plan. There is email correspondence from from engineering, pardon me. There is 12 form letters in support from owners, applicants, or owners of properties on Morningside and Beresford. And item number 13 is 38 Morningside Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing three-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a complete four-story dormer addition, a front second-story exterior flat roof over the entry, and a rear second-story deck with stairs. We have a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 36 photographs of trees on the subject property, covering letter again from the agent, previous decision numbers affecting the subject property, and a tree protection plan. We have the same, I presume, 12 form letters in support from residents on Morningside and Beresford. Now, good morning, ma'am. Have your name and address, please.
Good morning. Tanya Lupo.
Is that microphone on? You've got it on? It's ready?
Yes.
Just speak a little louder for us, please.
Tanya Lupo,
That's better.
27 Davies Avenue, Toronto.
We're dealing two items together. You're an agent for both. Given that we are, maybe just a quick overview, just a bit of a summary for the panel members, please.
Yes, absolutely. What started as a proposed third story turned out to be a proposed fourth story, which is in part why we are here today. I'd like to describe the project to you. Essentially, I'm doing a joint project on behalf as an agent for both, as you'd mentioned, for 36 and 38 Morningside, both sides of a semi-detached dwelling. We are looking to change the roof line, extending upwards, converting their attic space, the existing attic space, into a livable space for each. So it's very similar on both sides for what we are asking. Essentially, it's a modest addition that we are looking at here. If you have the cover letter on page 6, you can see an image of the existing versus the proposed, if you'd like to see that. But essentially, there's changes to the site from adjoining properties and grading that directly affects the property here. So we're seeking approval for 36 Morningside, or 5 minor variances. 3 are directly related to this established grade. So essentially, the city no longer considers the lowest level to be a basement. It's now, again, due to changes to grading from adjoining sites, which affected our established grade, they're now seeing the lowest level as the first story. So for minor variance number 1, I believe you have it there as a second-story platform, and it should be the same for 38 as well. It would have been, would not have been triggered as it would have been just on the ground floor. So it's being deemed or being seen as a second-story platform when it is in fact resting on the ground. Any platform back here would trigger a variance. Access is needed to essentially access the rear yard. There's no access otherwise through the side of the home or through the lowest level. So to clarify, the existing lowest level more than half of that space is a garage. Accessible only through unconditioned space is the mechanical room and a small storage room. So this has been area added to, of course, our GFA FSI, inflating some of the numbers that you will see for minor variance 4 and 5, or those relating to the side main wall height and the FSI. The overall building is to remain, so essentially we're just, as I'd mentioned, just building upwards, taking that roof, and changing the slope so that we have that livable space. I think, overall, it fits the scale of the majority of homes in the neighborhood, no larger than many others in the direct area of their neighborhood as well. The other minor variances that we have for 36 Morningside are just relating to some work done in 2016, 2017, where a contractor was out to complete some of those elements, which affected the rear yard setback and the soft landscaping percentage. So they were very close to meeting, but we're a little shy for those items. So in conclusion, the variances we were looking for are minor in nature, and overall we feel that it fits with the changing character of the neighborhood. Our clients on both sides have been residing in this neighborhood for a long time, and their needs have changed. So rather than relocating, they're just seeking to essentially gain this necessary space for their growing families. We have 12 letters of support, as you've mentioned, so there is a lot of support from the immediate neighborhood for our project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I have a couple. So the height variance you're seeking, it's different for both sides because of the slope, I assume. That's why they're so different. But I'm just looking at the existing dwelling. It's got a rather high peak to it. Would the new dormers on each side exceed that height or match that height?
That's correct. We are not exceeding the existing building height, so we're going to be maintaining the existing building height of the existing structure, and simply those side walls are extending upwards to meet a lower slope roof.
Right, and the little tiny house to the west, that's under construction right now too, isn't it?
They're both properties on either side are currently under construction.
So it seems like a popular little stretch of street, I would say.
That's correct, yes. In our cover letter, we had some precedent of some of the appearance of the homes that are, becoming popular in that area.
Right, and I'm just looking at the streetscape. So you're not seeking a front landscaping variance?
No.
But it looks like it's mostly driveway there now. Like, did you do a waiver or did you was it a review?
We had done a ZAP review.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It just doesn't look like there's a whole lot of green in your front.
There are some garden beds that are to the left and the right of the properties, So
you satisfy the front yard landscaping?
Yeah, we were not triggered for any variance.
Yeah, I didn't see a variance for it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Panel, any questions? Okay. Thank you. All right, let's go into committee. Anyone have any comments? Paul?
Yeah, I'll comment. First of all, this is a challenging problem with the tremendous grade differential from one side to the other. So I do understand this issue of a fourth story. I think it's an existing condition. I think that it's an appropriate variance request. Also, I think that it's sticking within the existing footprint, primarily within the existing footprint. The additional square footage being added is an appropriate improvement to the property with minimal impact on adjacent neighbors. So I support this application.
Okay. I think the applicant did a pretty good job of discussing with the neighbors and getting support from the surrounding community too. I thought that was good. Anyone else? All right, Paul, do you want to take a crack at a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to move this up. You've approved.
So there's two applications, so we have to just in your motion do separate ones?
Okay. So I'd like to.
Because the variances are slightly different in each.
Yeah. So
Let's do number. Let's do number 12 first. 36 Morningside.
Yeah, I recommend we approve 36 Morningside as submitted with no variation.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Gogan to approve, seconded by Mr. Byatt. All in favor? You have the approval of that one. Let's do number 13, 38 Morningside.
Likewise, as for 38 Morningside, I recommend to the board that we approve 38 Morningside unamended.
Okay, motion by Mr. Gogan to approve item number 13, no conditions. Have a seconder, Mr. Byatt. All in favor? Okay, you have your approvals. Thank you. Okay, item number 14 is 62 Hocken Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a partial third-story addition with a rooftop deck above the existing second story, a front porch with stairs, and a rear two-story addition with a ground floor deck and patio. The existing rear ground floor deck will be demolished. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations received July the 2nd, covering letter from the agent, copy of email correspondence between the agent and community planning, tree protection plan, and presentation materials from the agent. We have a staff report from Urban Forestry, 12 form letters in support from various addresses on Hocken Avenue. We have correspondence and interest from 53 Hocken and correspondence in opposition from 53 Ellsworth. Sorry, 53, 56, 55, 62, 62 again, 61, 71, 50, 30, 64, 38, 52, 43, 65, 63, all 48, 63, all from Ellsworth Avenue, and from 49 and 53 Hocken Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person. We also have 3 registered speakers for this item.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. Hi. My name is Andrea LaCalamita. I am the owner and also the architect of the project at 62 Hocken Avenue.
I'm Chris Scott. I also am living at 62 Hocken. Andrea's husband.
Okay.
He's here first.
All right, we have some folks who wish to speak to this item, so we'll need a presentation no longer than 5 minutes, please.
Sure. I did submit presentation material, so I'm hoping it can just be pulled up. Okay, great. So we believe this proposal is an efficient, appropriate design that suits the neighborhood while providing desirable density in the form of relatively affordable, family-friendly housing. We also believe it passes the 4 tests for determining minor variances, which I will demonstrate for the committee today. This is an atypical lot located at the rear of 2 residential properties to the north, 63 and 65 Ellsworth Avenue, with which it shares a rear property line, and you can see this on the first slide. It's one of 3 houses on the north side of Hocken Avenue, including 64 and 18 Hocken, seen again on the second slide, I guess, in pink, and on the following slide after that, which is a streetscape. The remainder of the structures on the north side of the street are garages that serve properties fronting Ellsworth Avenue. The south side of Hocken Avenue is a more typical residential streetscape faced by several 2- and 3-story single-family homes that share a laneway to the south, and I've also provided some images of that. The panoramas of Hocken Avenue of the entire street, which is on another slide, give the committee some additional context. The proposed scope of work includes a partial 3rd-story addition with access to a new rooftop deck and a partially cantilevered 2-story addition to the rear. The addition allows for a 3rd bedroom and a much-needed outdoor amenity space, resolving long-standing issues resulting from the constrained existing footprint. To achieve our design, we're requesting permission from the committee for 3 variances to the city's zoning bylaws, which we believe to be minor in both size and impact. The first variance is related to FSI. For clarity, I have highlighted the proposed areas of additional square footage in yellow on the plans provided on 3 of the slides before you. Despite the requested FSI being 1.4, the proposed GFA at just over 1,400 square feet is modest and is comparable to or smaller than many nearby homes on standard lots. This demonstrates the relative minor impact, particularly in light of the direct precedent set by our neighbors at 67 Ellsworth, on the screen here in yellow, where the approved FSI is the same as we are requesting, 1.4. The next variance is related to rear yard setback, which, if you just refer to the 2 buildings in pink on this slide, there is a precedent for this condition at 64 and 18 Hocken Avenue, both of which have rear walls that extend further north than that of this proposed project. The final variance for reduced side yard setback has precedent directly across the street at 57 and 59 Hocken Avenue, where the approved side yard setbacks are 0.29 and 0 meters respectively. We believe this proposal to be desirable as per the city's second test because it will greatly improve the condition and livability of the existing house and resolve its unusual relationship to the street. We believe it to be appropriate because despite its unusual siting, the proposed building is very much in keeping with the existing character of the neighborhood. To reinforce our claims, we're pleased to submit to the committee 12 letters from neighbors on Hocken Avenue in support of the application. We'd also like to refer the committee to the map on slide 13, which documents relevant recently approved variances in the neighborhood. These precedents, alongside our submitted elevations and shadow studies, which demonstrate thoughtful articulation and massing, help to satisfy the city's 3rd test regarding the general intent of the zoning bylaw. We recognize this site is atypical, however, and cannot be assessed on precedents alone. To this end, and to satisfy test number 4, we refer committee to section 4.1 of the official plan, which describes projects on properties such as this one that, quote, differ from the prevailing patterns of lot size, configuration, and orientation, end quote, as infill development, and provides special infill criteria that enable proposals like this to be judged by its relative or proportionate adherence to the existing zoning bylaw. We understand there is opposition to this proposal from our neighbors facing Ellsworth Avenue. Given this atypical site, we acknowledge that any proposed development will have some degree of impact on the properties to the north. We take these concerns seriously and feel this design reflects our efforts to consider and mitigate any adverse impact. To address concerns of privacy, we have proactively worked with city planning to revise our original roof deck plan to have a setback from the rear yard with plantings along the north edge. And it should be noted that city planning supports or does not have any objection to this proposal. Further, we created studies on the following slides, some of the slides included, to demonstrate that shadow impact is limited. Shadows will continue to be cast primarily east-west and thus largely confined to neighboring garages, especially during peak gardening season. Finally, although some letters describe this dwelling as a laneway house, it is in fact a primary residence with a street-facing address, and we hope it will be considered as such. In closing, we hope you agree this is a thoughtful design that makes the most of a tight, irregular lot. and supports the city's goals for livability and modest density while respecting neighborhood character.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I know we've got speakers lined up, but I just, a little bit of the history. So this is a very unusual street, as you pointed
Yes.
out. I think everyone acknowledges that. It's mostly garages serving the homes on Ellsworth, I guess.
Yes.
I looked up and down. There's only your house and one other that appear to be on this street. So what's the history? Was this severed at one point?
At some point, very, very long time ago, as far back in the archives that are like publicly available, this has always been the condition of this particular site. And the house to the left, so there's two other houses on the north side of Hocken. To the west is 64 Hocken. I'm not sure how long that condition has been, but I think it's probably a similar amount of time, like a long period of time, decades. The house to the east, 18 Hocken Avenue, was recently severed from the back of that property in 2012, and it was approved at OMB in 2012. So that's a relatively new development, and inside the kind of decision for allowing that development was that the planner described the condition of garages along Hocken as deplorable, and hence why it was supported that a new residence should be able to be built on that lot. And you can see here that the lot is deeper, but the house is, also much deeper and much closer to the existing residences on those lots than our proposed design is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have some folks here.
Yep.
Who wants to come up first? The red button on?
There we go. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Michael Minette from M-Plan. My address is 23 Foxwood Road, Thornhill. With me is the owner of the property immediately to the north, and that's Virginia Brooks. She's the owner of 63 Ellsworth Avenue, and in my view, that's the most significantly affected property from this application. I filed a fairly significant planning report, which has a lot of detail in it, and I don't plan to go through the whole thing within my 5 minutes. The first statement I want to make is that, in my opinion as a planner, this is an overdevelopment of a small lot, and the existing development that exists today is also an overdevelopment, and this addition would just exacerbate that condition. There are three variances. The two of major concern is the FSI. The bylaw currently allows for 0.6 times. The existing is already greater than that, and now we're increasing that to 1.4. So that's a significant variance, and the part that goes with that is the small rear yard setback, which is already smaller than the bylaw requires, and now being further reduced. And I think it's important that, as the committee knows, that the application must meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And I wanted to take you directly to policy 4.1.5, which is the development criteria for neighborhoods. And the test here is the term prevailing. That is the most important change that the city made to its OP under OP 320. The requirement is that the test is to meet the prevailing massing, scale, and density of the neighborhood and nearby residential properties, and also to meet the prevailing rear and side yard setbacks. In my view, the application certainly does not meet the prevailing character within the neighborhood. And the requested variances are excessive with respect to the fact that this is a very small property to start with. And the reason why you have zoning bylaw regulations that deal with the massing and setbacks is to provide for a ratio, specifically with respect to the FSI, where you have a ratio of the size of the house should relate to the size of the lot. Therefore, if you have a very small lot, you would expect to have a small house. In this case, although the applicant has indicated the house itself may be similar to other houses in the neighborhood, the lot is significantly smaller. So it would be expected you would have a smaller house on the smaller lot. In my submission I made, is it possible to pull that up? I have some visuals in that, which I'd like to refer to.
Supplementary.
Okay, if we can go to the appendix where I have there's a couple photos. That's at the back. So the first photo shows a street view of the existing dwelling. In the back, just beyond that building, you can see the rear of the building of 63 Ellsworth. So you can see that's the, and then if you go to the next page, that shows up as well. So you can see it's fairly close to this dwelling as it is now. If we go to the next photograph, this is the view of the existing house from the rear yard of 63 Ellsworth. And this is the view now. And then if you go to the next page, that's a vertical view. So you can see that house as it currently exists is already somewhat imposing. And now there's going to be a third story added to that. And so the fact that the rear yard is only proposed at 2.44 meters, which is about 8 feet, is going to have that set very close to the rear yard of these houses on the north side, and they would have a very imposing view. If we go to the next page, these are renderings that were prepared to identify what that would look like, and you can see the proposed third story on the right side of the 62 Hocken Avenue. It sticks up very clearly, and it's unusual on the streetscape. And then if you go to the bottom one, if we can zoom in on that, if that's possible. This is the view that you would see. This is the proposal with the third story, and then it has that area on the right side, which is the walkout deck. Now, I understand there's a suggestion or proposal to put some trees along the front of that. So that may mitigate the overview aspect, but it would still have the imposing third story that blocks the whole rear yard significantly more than the current two-story dwelling does. So I think it's important in summary to note this is a significant overdevelopment of a property that's very small that is already overdeveloped, and therefore we oppose the application.
Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions of the speaker? Thank you very much, sir.
Is there anyone else here in person that wishes to speak to this item? See none? Okay, through you, Mr. Chair, we'll now hear from the owner at 61 Ellsworth Avenue.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name's Shouzi Zhong, and I'm from 61 Ellsworth Avenue. So I'm here today to speak in opposition to the minor variance proposal that they've made on Hocken. So first, I'd like to say that, as mentioned before, as mentioned in a lot of letters that were sent, the proposed change we don't believe is actually minor, and it's quite significant considering the size of the property that was already mentioned. And then we also wanted to emphasize that it seriously impedes the privacy of all properties in the area. And here we're talking specifically about 61, 63, 65, and 67 Ellsworth. We believe the proposed extension directly overlooks the surrounding area. Even if they propose adding a garden, it doesn't deny that there's still a threat to privacy, which everyone in the neighborhood should be guaranteed. We also believe that the project breaks an established prevailing norm in the community, where most houses are 2 stories in this area, and adding a 3rd story, especially on what would be considered an outbuilding, would disrupt this sort of community cohesion. We also have that a higher building blocks sunlight, which ruins gardens in the area, and this is especially important to our residents because I live with my elderly father-in-law and mother-in-law, and because they don't leave the property much of their time is spent actually cultivating our backyard garden. So that's where they get most of their exercise, well-being, and livelihood, and it largely depends on that garden, which we feel gets overshadowed by the proposal of a 3rd story on the outbuilding. We also, as a family of this neighborhood, understand there's a deep sense of community, And we believe allowing this extension sets a bad precedent for the future of the community and rapid expansion, which drives out like tight-knit communal moments. And lastly, we believe the construction of the project itself, barring all the harms it does after it's constructed, may take months. And considering our parents' age and that they're living with us, we feel it would harm their well-being and peace and rest that they deserve at such an old age. And they're entitled to solitude as they please. And we feel the noise and movement of construction, in addition to all the changes, removes that opportunity entirely. So those are some of the reasons we believe that this proposal should not move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? None? That's it for speakers?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have one more speaker at 45 Hocken Avenue.
Okay.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I live at 45 Hocken. My name is Mary Crook, and I only just saw the notice a few days ago, and I never received a letter. I'm quite close. To begin with, I researched the history of the home I'm in, which is over 200 years old. The garages, we face garages with the exception of a few houses as noted, and my original neighbor told me that the garages were supposed to be upkept. And the reason I'm calling is just to clarify things. I know the house there, and they want to add a partial third story to the existing house. They want to add a new two-story house in the backyard and demolishing the existing deck. They called it minor adjustments. My question is, when you look at it from Hocken Avenue, it appears there's the front house. They want to add a second house, but there is one at the back. And I've often wondered, is that an Ellsworth Avenue address, or is that part of this particular one? So will there be now 3 houses on this teeny tiny lot?
Well, I'm not sure we understand, but we'll ask the agent to try and respond to that question.
Okay, and my big concern is the existing sewer system is nearing 200 years old in this area, and there is no soft landscaping in the front. By the way, that house has been there forever, as the owner had said. But how much soft landscaping will be in the back? The bylaw stated it must be 50% soft landscaping, and since there has never been any in the front, would that be upped to perhaps 80%? And from what I've read, I mean, I don't have any of the information, it looks like there will be no soft landscaping whatsoever. So therefore, we know for years now we've had flooding, et cetera, and so on. It hits hard surfaces, and these are all small lots. Oh, one question. What are the measurements of the lot, the frontage and the depth in feet? Sorry, I'm from the old school.
Okay.
Because it seems to me it's a very small lot.
Yeah, I think the agent would acknowledge it is in fact a small lot. So anything further?
And my main concern, excuse me, sir, my main concern is the loss of any soft landscaping that there is already. And let me tell you, recently, earlier this year, I believe, neighbors on Hocken as well as Ellsworth stopped at 9 Ellsworth. They wanted to put, there already was a 3-story. They wanted to put a second 3-story plus a, et cetera, and so on. It was totally said no. And the one he's referring to, or the one the agent's referring to, I believe 18 Hocken. That was, it took more than 2.5 years. Every resident on Hocken said no. But the counselor at the time, he kept pushing. and so it was allowed. It went all the way up to, I can't remember what it was called now, aside from the Committee of Adjustment. But 2.5 years, my previous neighbor, my other neighbor, I wasn't here that long, and I said no 2 years in a row.
Okay, ma'am, I just want to interrupt you there. So staff,
so that was not a done deal. It was not supposed to go.
Staff have put up on the screen, if you have it in front of you, the information you've asked about in terms of frontage and lot size. So you can look at that. I will note for your information, ma'am, for your information, the applicants are not seeking a variance for landscaping, so they satisfy the bylaw requirements for soft landscaping. So if you want to have a look at that,
at least 50%.
You want to have a look at that, and if there's anything else, ma'am, you want to share with us?
Just that it's a very small lot, and I really don't think it's appropriate, and you can't refer to the other house because that was supposed to be a no. And as I say, we face garages, we're very happy. So my big concern is it's much large for such a tiny lot. We can't be setting precedences.
Okay.
So thank you for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. That's it for speakers. All right. We'll have you back.
Thank you. Okay. There's a few things to discuss. I think first, on a personal note, there is some concern expressed in the letters of opposition that this is kind of a development opportunity that is kind of gone awry. In reality, we are longtime residents of the community, been there for 10 years in this home, which is greatly compromised in terms of its ability to be functional as a primary residence. And the reason we are requesting these variances is so that we can actually stay in the community, of which we are actually also very dedicated to this community. So I just wanted to clarify that for the committee, but also for the opponents and anyone who's watching. So hopefully that clarifies our motivation. I think I can also speak to the fact that we have addressed the issues of privacy in the best way that we feel we can. As I mentioned, in coordination with city planning, we revised the roof deck plan to include planters all along the north edge of the roof deck. And they are satisfied that that would provide adequate privacy for our neighbors, but also for us on this roof deck. I will also just refer you to, as part of my presentation, and I think the revised roof deck should be in the architectural drawings as well as in my presentation. But as part of my presentation, there it is, yes. So there's concerns of overlook from the neighbors, but as you can see in the photos at the end, toward the end, I believe perhaps the last page, it's a view of our measure of privacy in our current backyard. So, sorry, the next slide, or the one after the last slide. Yeah, so we currently have several windows of 2-story and 2.5-story homes looking directly into our backyard. This is a condition in which we purchased the site knowing that this was the existing condition, and we accept it as a condition of living there. Certainly, I think this is not an ideal scenario from our perspective, but we understand this issue of privacy and overlook, but it is complicated because it is an unusual site, and in order to afford us sunlight and views and necessary required openings for bedrooms, etc., we are requesting windows on the north face. And so if there's issues of overlook that way, we are able to eliminate the 3rd-story window as a potential vote of kind of compromise on the north face there. But we do believe that this is in line with the existing character of the site. So then We also provided shadow studies, which I don't believe we actually looked at as part of the presentation, and I'm not sure if the people here in opposition have seen them, but I think they are important because despite the larger massing with the partial third-story addition, you can see that the shadows that are cast by the existing building, especially in the morning, are already very significant, but they are mostly contained to neighboring garages. And so the shadows cast to the north do change, but not significantly. So it is our opinion that this massing does not create a huge impact in terms of shadow. And so we think that is desirable, in terms of the massing, having that be a smaller impact than I think is probably imagined by the people who are in opposition of this project. The other thing I'd like to point out, of course, is just that the plan is very efficient. It's essentially putting the circulation, a staircase outside of the existing house to free up some internal floor space. And the addition of the partial third story is to enable a third bedroom for this home, of which is not possible within the given existing footprint or in any two-story renovation of this existing structure. So by keeping this a very tight and efficient design, we hope that this will drastically improve the property, which I do want to just emphasize that all the neighbors on HOCKEN, from the letters of support that we received, are all very encouraged and excited by this development on the site because the existing property is not in great condition, and I think they perceive this to be an improvement to the streetscape and to the neighborhood as well.
Okay, thank you. Panel, questions? Go ahead, Paul.
Just what's the material, exterior material, going to be that's facing the neighbors?
Yes, so we've actually had discussions with the neighbor to the north about the materiality, and we've said that we would keep it a neutral color. It's currently neutral, it's a light color, so we have promised that instead of building a big black wall, that we would keep it light, keep it natural, cedar siding. I don't know what specifically it would be, but I think that's what we have in mind. We've also offered to do a green wall at the back, if that's helpful in terms of the structure that's being looked at. I also, as a professional, I can assure that the quality of the design and construction will be a great part of this project, which I think in other hands it might not be.
Okay. Gary, did you see your hand up?
Yeah. Just with respect to the rear yard setback, is that an existing situation with your building? You're going to, it's going to be 2.44 from the north lot line.
Yeah, so if you go see this, these two photos here, it's actually kind of an interesting scenario where we're actually just proposing to build the new rear wall on the existing foundation wall that supports the rear deck and canopy. So I think you can see that the existing rear wall of the building is kind of currently set back from that foundation wall. So what we're proposing is to make use of the existing foundation wall to support that that bump out.
Okay.
So the green space in the backyard is not affected at all, and we will not need to dig or build any foundations.
Thank you.
Okay. I think the biggest concern, from the neighbors is the third story. So let's talk about the third story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at the side elevation. Which elevation is? Maybe it's the back elevation. It looks like, have you got a parapet up there?
Do have a parapet, yes.
Is there a need for that parapet?
It's possible that we could engineer it such that it doesn't require a parapet.
Well, I'm just wondering, it looks like it's about a foot or so, but,
I'd be very happy to restrict to lower the overall height. The reason it's shown at this height is because I wanted to make sure I didn't trigger a variance by building up to this height. But the ceiling height could be adjusted, and the parapet. I think we might. That's a building science kind of question, but I think the ceiling height certainly we could be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about ways that might make the neighborhood less upset.
Yes.
And
we
anything
would like
we can do to reduce that third-story height, even though you're not seeking a variance, and
Yes.
acknowledge that.
Yes.
But in terms of mitigation, if there's anything we can do to
Yes.
drop that, that would be helpful. I do want to note that that is, it sounds like it's going to be your principal bedroom.
Yes.
So the deck off it would only be accessed from the bedroom. So it's not like it's going to be an active area, not active recreation. It's not like it's off a family room or a kitchen where you're going to get an awful lot of traffic. This is a relatively private spot off your bedroom.
Correct. And actually, one of the primary reasons for, I mean, obviously there's a lack of outdoor amenity space currently on the site.
Right.
So as you say, this is kind of a secondary amenity space. It also allows us to get some proper windows into the house because we have, it's set back so significantly from the west side yard setback that it's one of the only places, it is the only place in the house that we can actually get a kind of reasonably sized window with a view to any sky.
Right.
So this is all part of that.
So the window, you've got looks like sliders on opening onto the deck or French doors or something. But
yes.
Did you say you would be prepared to eliminate the north facing window?
On the third floor.
On the third floor?
Yes.
Okay. So we've done a couple of things to try and, I guess, address or mitigate what has got people pretty concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't want to presuppose that my colleagues are going to think, but I just want to pursue this a little bit in the event that they're amenable. But if you were to, how would you represent your interest or your willingness to reduce the height of that third story?
Well, I can. Is that something that you would want to write into the?
I think we'd somehow like to reflect it in a decision, if in fact, again, I'm presupposing what my colleagues are going to say, but.
Yes. I can say that, so right now, sorry, I'm just looking at if I have shown the ceiling height. The ceiling height on the third floor is currently shown at 9 feet, so I can reduce that to 8'6" and promise that the parapet be as minimal as possible, if that's amenable. I'm open to other options, and I don't know how that gets written into any sort of approval.
Well, we got very creative staff here. So.
Okay.
All right. Any further questions, panel? All right, let's go into committee. Who's got some comments or thoughts? Is it here?
Thank you, Chair. I just have some comments. One of the most interesting things, I suppose, about living in the city of Toronto proper rather than the burbs is that we have these anomalies. And these are the anomalies that make the city an interesting place. For my part, I find this a really interesting project, very creative way of addressing additional space to continue living in the city itself. I personally do not find any of the variances that are requested problematic. Unfortunately, we do get used to what we see and find it difficult when change happens. But I don't believe that this is the requests are onerous at all. So I find this quite supportive without any changes. So
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Paul?
I agree with what Zahira says. I think especially when in these areas where you have close quarters, even though it's not our jurisdiction, materiality, the quality are a big impact here. So we can't give any commentary on that other than to encourage that it's a quality materiality, so that if someone's looking upon it, they understand that it's an improvement or a complementary to their experience in their own homes as well. Given that, but we have no control over that, I would say that I find that the site conditions create a lot of the restrictions on this property, and I think the proposed alterations are actually fairly modest in relationship to a very challenging site. So I would support this application.
Yep, and so I would agree. So again, this is one of these situations where the applicant is the owner, and the applicant happens to be an architect. which is, I think, contributes to the fact that there's an opportunity to make a slightly old modifications, but also that the proposal is trying to be efficient and maximize the site. And this is a weird site, no doubt about it. And quite frankly, the fact that it's a weird site is exacerbated a little bit by the proximity to the folks on Ellsworth. So I think we have to try and be sensitive to that. But, I'm renovating a house to have 3 bedrooms is an entirely reasonable thing to do in this city. So I'm assuming you don't have 3 bedrooms now.
1.5.
And I would never try to force anyone to necessarily have a bedroom in the basement. So I appreciate the concern that this is raised with the community. It is not precedent setting. We look at every application on its merits relative to its circumstances. So this, for those who are concerned that this is going to set a precedent, it won't. But I would like to, I think the owner is open to and is able to make a couple little adjustments which might go a long way to at least help the acceptance in the community. What she offered was to reduce the 3rd floor height to 8'6", which I think is reasonable, still lots of room, and to try and minimize the height of the parapet. I don't think we can hold them to a height necessarily, but I think maybe we can, maybe for the record, Sabrina, that's what the agent has agreed to do. It's not going to satisfy, I don't think, the concerns of the neighborhood, but I think at least tries to address a little bit of the concern. So if you guys are okay with that, if you want to support it, would you be okay with introducing that into the motion?
Is it something that we can request as a condition? Because
I think we can do the height, right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can state that the 3rd story will have a floor-to-ceiling height of 8'6".
Yeah, as a condition.
As a condition?
Yeah, but I don't think we can do the parapet thing.
No, that would be for the record.
We haven't got a number.
Yeah, that would be for the record.
Is that okay?
But everything drops anyways, right?
Yeah.
Because their floor-to-ceiling height is 9
Yeah.
feet right now.
And, you may not need a foot for the parapet. You may need 6 inches or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the removal of the
North-facing
north-facing
window
3rd floor
on the 3rd
window?
So is everyone comfortable with that as a compromise? All right, then maybe someone could take a crack at that motion.
if I may just make another.
Oh, another comment, okay.
The previous speaker had referenced number 18, HOCKEN.
Yes.
Is your mic on? They can't hear you.
Sorry. As I said, the previous speaker had referenced number 18 as an issue and as almost a precedent. But just looking at a Google satellite view, number 18 looks a lot deeper than the property that we're talking about. So I think, relatively speaking, this is not as intrusive.
Yes, and to correct
Oh,
that-
sorry, we're in committee.
Sorry.
We'll just hold that. He's just
Yeah,
making a comment.
okay, sorry.
Sorry for that.
No, it's okay.
Seemingly requesting. Yeah, and so I think that adds to my support for this particular.
Okay, why don't you take a crack at a motion, sir?
I'll see.
I'll help you along.
So I'd like to move approval of this application before us. And did we say it was a condition? One condition would be that the north-facing window be eliminated.
On the 3rd story?
On
Third
the
story,
third
yes.
On the 3rd story, not all of them, thank you. Was the other one?
So restrict the height, floor-to-ceiling height of the 3rd story to 8'6" inches.
That's fine.
And I think we had a, for the record, comment that the applicant will try to minimize the height of the parapet.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we also have urban forestry condition number 1.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, Sabrina, have we got all that? Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Byatt with those conditions, seconded by Mr. Gogan. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. On to item number 15. 108 Ridge Drive. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story cantilever.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Can we ask that the item that was just dealt with, if you have any comments to make, that it's made outside of the room? We're still in hearing. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, you want me to start over? 108, number 15, 108 Ridge Drive. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story cantilevered addition, replacing the exiting roof terrace, and a rear third-story addition with a rooftop terrace. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of the subject property, and a list of neighbors in support of the applicants.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person. No registered speakers for this item.
Good morning, sir.
Sorry, good morning. My name is Chaim Rybak. I'm an architect, but I'm representing the owner for the committee. So.
Okay, hang on a sec, sir.
Sure.
Panel, do you need a presentation on this one?
I have a question, but
Sir, thank you for coming down. It's a fairly straightforward application. It's relatively minor. We don't need a presentation from you today unless you'd like to give us one. But we do have a couple questions. So
please.
Would you be okay with that?
I hope I can answer them.
All
yes.
right. So here?
yeah, my question basically is, you've got is it the second floor rooftop terrace?
Yes.
It's a second floor, I think.
Second floor, that's correct.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering because I think on both I'm looking at the directions now, trying to figure out where the compass is. Bear with me. Oh, it will be the east and west sides. I was just wondering because you might have overlooked, not necessarily on the east side, but on the west side, because the east side there's an existing house.
Yes.
But the west side, it looks like you'll have overlook of the neighboring property at 106.
But this deck you're talking about on the second floor is not going to be there anymore.
Oh, is that being eliminated?
Oh, yeah, we're going to make it into a space. It's going to be a room.
Okay, so
Hold on, sir. Sir, just to be clear, the plans that are before us are showing. Is this the existing? Is this
it's
the
existing.
It's all existing.
It's the existing site.
I stand corrected.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yep, yep.
Well, of course you're right.
No issue.
Yes.
Of course you're right. It's your design.
That's right.
Are you okay with that?
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? No, we have no questions. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we take it into committee for a decision?
No, the only thing is the owner now, the couple, they're expanding, their family is expanding and they're growing and they need the space. And actually what was done there and proposed there is almost following up basically the footprint of the house, the way it is. So I think there is really not going to be any interference at all or influence on anybody for this matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the variances before us are really quite minor. So we'll take this into committee.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, if I can just ask the presenter to show the east elevation as proposed. There's still a smaller rooftop terrace right in the middle there, where where Stanley is showing the cursor.
Oh, right.
Oh, it's a balcony.
Well, it's shown on the plans as rooftop terrace.
A terrace,
Yeah.
yes.
So, I mean, the purpose of application does reflect that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're asking, and that's basically one of the...
No, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
So Zahir was asking about overlook and privacy. Is there an overlook concern from?
Nobody from our neighbors at all. They are quite familiar with this, and my client, both of them actually, went and spoke to the neighbors, and there was no objection.
It looks like it's sandwiched in between.
That's right.
The dormer and the two dormers there.
Yeah, it's a very simple, very little balcony.
And that's off a bedroom?
The third floor bedroom, that's all.
Also set back quite.
Yes, it's set back. Exactly.
Thank you, Sabrina, for noting that.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? We'll take this into committee. Paul?
Yeah, I actually, I appreciate kind of the craft that went into trying to use that existing terrace and extrude it up and make a integrated thing. So, and I think it's a sensitive addition with very minimal impact onto the adjacent neighbors. It's good that we point out the balcony as that transition space between the new addition and the existing building. But I think I support this. I'd like to move it. We approve it as it is.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Gogan to approve. No conditions. Seconded by Mr. Byatt. All in favor? Thank you for coming down. You have your approval.
Excellent. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. And my clients, if they're watching, they're going to get very excited. I'm going to give you back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it works.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We move on to item number 16, 664 Broadview Avenue. This is an application to convert the existing three-story detached building into a private school and to construct a new one-story ancillary building in the rear yard. The existing rear detached garage will be demolished. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of the subject property, an arborist report, and a copy of a staff report from Heritage Services. We have email correspondence from Heritage Planning. We have staff reports from Heritage Planning, Metrolinx, Engineering, and Urban Forestry. We have correspondence and support from 670 to 674 Broadview Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi, name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Valerie Arthur with Sulin Architects. We're representing the applicant Montcroft School as the agent, and our office is 2 Northview Terrace, Toronto.
Okay, hang on a sec, ma'am. This looks like it's simply a change of use, conversion of use. Does anyone need a presentation on this one? Okay. Ma'am, we don't need a presentation this morning or this afternoon. We've read your application. We're familiar with the material. Is there anything you'd like to share with the committee before we take it in for a decision?
I don't think there is anything that we need to go through. Certainly we can answer any questions as they come up. Maybe I'll just clarify a little bit. So the existing building was built as a house, has most recently been permitted as a rehabilitation center with a residential component. Montcroft School has actually owned and used this building as their administrative offices since around 2005, which predates the current bylaw. So we're seeking the change of use now for the existing building, not to actually change anything physically about it, but just to get all our ducks in a row paperwork-wise in terms of the use of the building. So they already use it as their administrative offices and will continue to do so. We're just applying for the change of use to get all the paperwork in order.
Right, thank you. Zahir?
Let me just ask one quick question, please. As a school, I take it, given the location, because it's right on Broadview, are you expecting parents to be doing vehicle drop-offs and pickups?
No, we're not. So if we can navigate to sheet A03 in this document. So the school's main campus is actually to the south here. So we have the subject property, and then the property to the south, 662 Broadview, is owned by other people. And then the properties to the south of that, there are 3 also heritage buildings that the school owns, and they have a building that was built in the 90s to the rear of those properties. So that is their main campus, which was, they completed an addition there in 2019 that has all of the main drop-off for everything except the preschoolers who actually are on Fort Montcrest. So this subject property will be used for their administrative offices and then some outdoor programming for kids in the rear, but there will be no drop-off, no pickup, no impacts to sort of traffic and access on the subject property.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the satellite view, and what you've just explained becomes very clear. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No one? Okay, thank you very much. We'll take this into committee. Is it here?
Sure, Chair, I'll take this. Thank you. I think this is a very straightforward application, change of use, and there's some continuity with the school just to the south. There's one condition, it's a forestry number 2, and I believe Metrolinx has a condition as well. So with those 2 conditions in mind, I'd like to move approval.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Byatt to approve, subject to those conditions, seconded by Mr. Gogan. All in favor? Okay. You have your approval, ma'am. Thank you. And with that, we conclude the morning session. And Sabrina, we're back at 2 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. Back at 2.
Please turn off your videos, microphones.